Imagine a time when the carefree laughter of children playing in schoolyards is replaced by the chilling clang of gunfire. Picture a world where innocent hands, meant to hold books and crayons, are forced to grip weapons of war. This isn't a hypothetical scenario. This is the stark reality depicted in our story, where the government makes the agonizing decision to conscript children into the military, turning classrooms into training grounds and playgrounds into battlefields. But how did humanity arrive at this desperate crossroads? Let's rewind the clock and delve into the events that led to this extraordinary measure. Our story begins in the familiar setting of a school, where a young student named Jinwoo sits sketching in his notebook. His drawings aren't of the usual childish fare. Instead, he meticulously renders images of strange, unsettling purple orbs. These orbs have become a global phenomenon, appearing in the skies for the past year, their purpose and origin shrouded in mystery. Jinwoo voices his anxieties to his friend. What if these purple balls fall on us? His friend, engrossed in a video on his phone, reveals that these mysterious spheres are believed to be of extraterrestrial origin, potentially harboring alien life forms that pose an existential threat to humanity. Initially, the world was gripped by a wave of terror. The thought of hostile aliens lurking within these orbs, poised to unleash devastation, sent shivers down the spines of people worldwide. Governments scrambled to understand the nature of the threat, pouring resources into research and analysis. Meanwhile, on a remote military base in Korea, soldiers stand in tense anticipation as a purple orb descends from the sky, landing with a soft thud on the barren ground. Clad in combat gear, they cautiously approach the orb, their faces etched with a mixture of curiosity and trepidation. An officer, his voice taut with apprehension, orders a soldier to fire upon the orb. The soldier obeys, and a deafening blast erupts, sending shockwaves through the air. The orb cracks open, revealing a glimpse of something otherworldly, something terrifying. Back at the school, the normalcy of a typical school day is shattered by a sudden announcement. Young Ae, a dedicated teacher with a warm smile that usually puts her students at ease, returns from the principal's office with a grave expression. She informs her class that all upcoming exams have been canceled, a decision that leaves the students bewildered and buzzing with questions. Unable to provide satisfactory answers, she switches on the classroom television, where the defense minister addresses the nation. His somber tone leaves no room for doubt. The world is on the brink of war. The defense minister announces a drastic measure. All students over the age of 24 will be subjected to mandatory military training. Those who choose to continue their studies alongside their military duties will be rewarded with incentives. Young Ae distributes consent forms, explaining that students must obtain their parents' signatures if they wish to participate in the training program. The following morning, the students gather at the school, their belongings packed for an indefinite stay. Sergeant Lee Chuan, his demeanor stern and battle-worn, introduces himself as their instructor. He emphasizes the importance of discipline, teamwork, and survival skills, his words laced with a gravity that hints at a danger far greater than the students could imagine. Initially, the training feels like an unexpected summer camp. The students, separated into male and female dormitories, engage in typical teenage antics. The girls giggle and experiment with makeup, while the boys revel in the novelty of their shared experience. However, this light-hearted facade is quickly shattered by the arrival of a seasoned female soldier who swiftly imposes order and discipline, her no-nonsense approach leaving no room for childish games. The first lesson is a sobering introduction to the tools of war. The students, initially treating the guns as toys, are harshly reprimanded by Lee Chuan. He underscores the deadly seriousness of their training, reminding them that these weapons are not playthings, but the very instruments that could mean the difference between life and death. The days that follow are a grueling test of endurance, pushing the students to their physical and emotional limits. Exhaustion and fear replace the initial excitement as they grapple with the harsh realities of their new existence. The constant drills and demanding exercises, designed to forge them into soldiers, take a toll. Some students thrive under the pressure, embracing the camaraderie and the newfound sense of purpose. Others falter, overwhelmed by homesickness and the gnawing fear of the unknown. Forbidden from bringing phones, the rebellious student smuggles his device into the camp, a blatant disregard for the rules. He shares a disturbing video depicting the army culling animals, fueling rumors of a looming war and escalating the sense of dread amongst his peers. Yanju, overhearing the whispers, attempts to alert Lichuan to the rule violation, leading to a tense confrontation with the defiant student. As Yanju exits the room, a horrifying scene unfolds outside. One of the massive purple spheres descends upon the camp, disgorging a grotesque, monstrous creature. The alien entity seizes Yanju, slowly consuming him in a horrifying display of its predatory nature. Lichuan arrives just in time to save the rebellious student from a similar fate, but Yanju is gone, another victim of the terrifying truth lurking behind the purple spheres. The teachers and remaining soldiers struggle to conceal the truth of Yanju's demise, fearing mass panic. They tell the students that he has returned home, a lie designed to maintain a semblance of order in the face of unimaginable horror. However, Lichuan, haunted by the memory of his past encounter with the creatures, knows the truth is far more sinister. He recalls the first attack, the devastating onslaught that decimated half his unit, leaving him scarred both physically and emotionally. He remembers the chilling warning from his superiors. Each sphere contains a legion of these monstrous beings capable of overwhelming humanity. The news on the radio confirms his worst fears. 30 new spheres have impacted across the globe, marking the beginning of a full-scale alien invasion. The commander issues a grim order. The students must learn to fight, to defend themselves against the relentless alien threat. The training intensifies, taking on a desperate urgency. Exhausted and emotionally drained, the students push themselves to the brink, their dreams filled with images of the grotesque creatures that now haunt their waking hours. During a weapons test, a stark disparity in skill is revealed. While most of the students demonstrate proficiency, one girl struggles to assemble her rifle, her frustration mounting under the critical gaze of her peers. Despite the taunts and criticisms, Lichuan intervenes, reminding them that unity and support are crucial in the face of a common enemy. He stresses the importance of teamwork, emphasizing that their survival depends on their ability to protect one another, to overcome individual weaknesses for the sake of the group. Meanwhile, a perimeter is established around the sphere that claimed Yanju's life, a desperate attempt to contain the threat. The students are transported to a deserted city for live-fire training. The eerie silence and empty streets stand as a chilling reminder of the stakes. The vacant buildings and abandoned cars a testament to the human cost of the invasion. They pass a gaping crater, the impact site of another sphere, a stark visual testament to the destructive power of the invaders. On their return journey, Lichuan notices signs of a recent attack, a chilling tableau of scattered debris and signs of struggle. He orders the students to remain put while he investigates, but two boys, driven by hunger and an inflated sense of bravado, sneak off to a nearby store. Their act of disobedience sets off a chain of events that will test the students' resilience and push them to their limits. The teacher, discovering the missing boys, sets off with Lichuan to find them. The remaining students, left unsupervised, scatter in a wave of fear and confusion, their carefully constructed discipline crumbling in the face of danger. One girl, attempting to retrieve a fallen weapon, suffers a gruesome injury, her cries attracting the attention of both her classmates and the lurking alien creatures. The teacher, in a selfless act of heroism, attempts to protect her students, but is brutally slain by one of the monsters. The students, witnessing her demise, are gripped by terror, their innocence irrevocably shattered. The truth about Yanju's fate is revealed, adding another layer of fear and despair to their already harrowing ordeal. A swarm of smaller creatures descends upon the students, forcing them to flee for their lives. Soldiers engage the aliens in a fierce firefight, but the creatures prove relentless, tearing through their ranks with terrifying efficiency. The students are separated in the chaos, each group facing its own desperate struggle for survival. Some find refuge in a shopping mall, only to be hunted through the deserted aisles by the relentless creatures, the familiar setting transformed into a nightmarish labyrinth. A boy, attempting to escape, is caught by a creature and brutally killed, a stark reminder of the cost of failure. Another group of girls barricades themselves in a phone booth, their terror mounting as the creatures close in. In a moment of panic, they accidentally trigger the siren, attracting even more of the alien horde. Li Chuan, battling his way through the ravaged city, hears the siren's wail. He arrives just in time to rescue the trapped girls, engaging the creatures in a desperate firefight. One of the students, the girl who excelled in marksmanship, demonstrates her newfound skills, taking down the creature with a well-placed shot and saving Li Chuan's life. Reunited at their initial separation point, the surviving students mourn the loss of their teacher and fallen comrades. Li Chuan finally reveals the devastating truth about the purple spheres and the monstrous creatures they contain. He informs them that they are not simply training for a potential war, but fighting for their very survival. The students return to the school, where their classmates are shocked by their haggard appearance and the grim news they bring. Li Chuan is forced to confront his superiors, who initially refuse to train the students, fearing for their safety. The gravity of the situation overrides their concerns, and the students are informed that the entire city has been evacuated, their parents relocated to an undisclosed safe zone. In a desperate bid for survival, the students attempt to escape the camp under the cover of darkness, hoping to find their families. They are caught by Li Chuan and punished for their disobedience, their act of rebellion highlighting the growing sense of hopelessness and despair. A devastating attack on the school by the smaller creatures drives home the grim reality of their situation. Many students and soldiers are killed, and the survivors are forced to flee in trucks, leaving behind the familiar safety of the school, now a ravaged battleground. The escape is fraught with peril, and another student is lost to the relentless alien horde, a tragic reminder of their vulnerability. The surviving students are transported to a new army camp, where they are reunited with their classmates. However, the joy of reunion is short-lived. They soon learn that another truck, carrying their friends, was ambushed, the driver killed, and the students stranded in a hostile environment. Li Chuan, driven by his sense of duty and compassion for the students, defies orders and sets out to rescue the missing group. He is joined by a group of determined students who refuse to abandon their friends, their sense of loyalty and camaraderie stronger than their fear. The stranded students, meanwhile, find refuge in an abandoned house. They mark their location with an arrow, hoping to be found. One girl, driven by hunger and a moment of selfish weakness, hides a bag of chips. This act nearly costs them their lives as the creature, drawn by the scent of food, discovers their hiding place, forcing them to flee once more. They narrowly escape the house, thanks to a quick-thinking plan and a daring sacrifice. One of the boys volunteers to stay behind and distract the creature, a selfless act that allows his friends to escape in a car. Just as the creature corners him, the two boys who had earlier disobeyed orders arrive, having stumbled upon a way to freeze the alien menace, a discovery that offers a sliver of hope in this desperate battle for survival. Li Chuan and his group arrive just in time to witness the final confrontation. The sharpshooting student takes aim and fires, ending the creature's reign of terror with a single, well-placed shot. The reunited students, battered but alive, return to the army camp, where they are met with a mixture of relief and reprimand for their disobedience. The students, hardened by their experiences, begin to embrace their new roles as soldiers. They find camaraderie and purpose in their shared struggle, their uniforms a symbol of their commitment to defending humanity. However, a grim reality awaits them. At a high-level military meeting, the devastating extent of the alien invasion is revealed. Despite heavy losses, the creatures continue to pour out of the spheres, overwhelming the armed forces. Li Chuan is tasked with leading the students into a final, desperate mission, a suicide attack aimed at destroying a large concentration of the alien creatures. The students are informed of their mission, the weight of responsibility bearing down on their young shoulders. They remember their past lives, the carefree days of school and family, now a distant memory. Li Chuan, sensing their despair, prepares a special meal for them, a small gesture of comfort in the face of impending doom. He promises to stay by their side until the very end, his words a source of strength and inspiration. Armed with special devices that detect the presence of the creatures, the students embark on their mission. They navigate the ravaged city, encountering remnants of the invasion, abandoned vehicles, ransacked buildings, and the lingering stench of death. They face small groups of aliens, their training kicking in as they fight with a newfound sense of purpose. They discover a wounded female soldier, a survivor of a previous attack, and bring her to safety, a small victory amidst the overwhelming devastation. The students are forced to confront the grim realities of war as they collect the bodies of their fallen comrades. One girl, overwhelmed by guilt and despair over the loss of her squad, attempts to take her own life, only to be stopped by a compassionate friend. The incident highlights the emotional toll of the conflict, the burden of survival weighing heavily on their young shoulders. In a moment of anguish and anger, the guilt-ridden girl confronts Li Chuan, accusing him of abandoning them just as their previous leader had. She fires her weapon, the bullet striking the commander who had stepped in front of Li Chuan, taking the bullet intended for his subordinate. The incident forces Li Chuan to reevaluate his role and the responsibility he bears for the students' safety. He orders them to return to the camp, unwilling to risk their lives any further. However, the students, inspired by his leadership and determined to fight for their survival, refuse to abandon the mission. They devise a daring plan, one that will require the ultimate sacrifice, their own. Using themselves as bait, they plan to lure the creatures into a building rigged with explosives. Li Chuan, despite his desire to protect them, is forced to agree to the plan, recognizing their courage and determination. He stays behind to ensure its success, knowing he will not survive the blast. As the creatures swarm the building, drawn in by the students' orchestrated distractions, the commander and the remaining students watch from a safe distance, their hearts heavy with grief and admiration. Li Chuan, trapped and surrounded, bids farewell to the students he has come to care for. He urges them to detonate the bomb, knowing it is the only way to stop the invasion, to save humanity from annihilation. With trembling hands, the commander hesitates, torn between his duty and his compassion for the man who has become a symbol of hope and resilience. But as the creatures begin to emerge from the building, one of the students bravely steps forward and activates the detonator. The building erupts in a fiery explosion, consuming the creatures and Li Chuan in its devastating embrace. The shockwave reverberates through the air, a physical manifestation of the students' grief and the enormity of their loss. The students watch in tears as the mushroom cloud rises into the sky, a somber testament to the courage and sacrifice of their fallen leader. The series ends on a note of profound sadness, but also with a glimmer of hope. The students have survived, and they carry with them the legacy of Li Chuan's bravery, a legacy that will inspire them to rebuild their shattered world and face the uncertain future with resilience and determination. They have lost their innocence, but they have gained a strength born of hardship and loss, a strength that will guide them as they navigate the long road to recovery.